Today, viewers loved getting to know Jenna bush-hager better when she earned a spot co-hosting alongside Hoda back in 2019. As the daughter of George W. Bush, many Americans were already familiar with her name. But hosting a segment on Today really gave fans a chance to learn more about Jenna as a person. Many fans already know how big of a family woman Jenna bush-hager is. While she and her husband are the proud parents of 2 daughters and a son, some have speculated they're thinking of adding a 4th child to the family. Jenna bush-hager talks the possibility of another baby. On Today with Jenna and Friends, Jenna Hager Bush frequently talks about her family and loved ones. Savannah Guthrie joined her as a guest host for a recent episode and had an inkling that Jenna might want to expand the family. Jenna and her husband, Henry Chase Hager, currently share 3 children, Mila, Poppy, and Hal. But is it possible they're thinking about adding a 4th baby to the mix? During the segment, Savannah Guthrie admitted she had a dream that Jenna and Henry were expecting a 4th child. She then jokingly asked her friend and co-host if there was any special news to share with the audience. "I have nothing to announce," Jenna replied. "I'm pretty sure I've come to terms that 3, even though it's an imperfect number, is the perfect number for our house." "It's very normal," Savannah responded. "I think they call it being broody. You're kind of broody for a 3rd or a 4th. I would have had a 3rd in a heartbeat, but, I was up against the clock." In turn, Jenna jokingly began a drum roll before formally announcing she didn't have any special pregnancy news to share. The Today journalists and their children share close connections. Although the journalists love joking around on camera, they also share a close bond and friendship. Savannah Guthrie and Jenna bush-hager are actually godmothers to each other's children. The families also lived near each other at one point, meaning their children formed friendships and special bonds of their own. "Our kids are still buddies. What we just do now is, she's out of the city, so we just make weekend plans and try to see each other," Savannah Guthrie told People back in 2023. "It was such a beautiful moment in time, those 5, 6, 7 years that we were neighbors. Our kids grew up together. They were more like cousins than anything," the Today anchor continued. "Hal, her youngest, is my godson, so my kids like to call the other kids their godbrothers and sisters. And it feels like family." Jenna bush-hager had always been in the public eye, but it wasn't until she took her seat next to Hoda on Today in 2019 that fans truly got to know her. As the daughter of former President George W. Bush, her name carried weight, yet her warmth and authenticity won over audiences in a way that transcended politics. She was more than just a recognizable last name. She was a storyteller, a friend, and, most importantly, a devoted family woman. At the heart of Jenna's life was her husband, Henry Chase Hager, and their 3 children, Mila, Poppy, and Hal. Parenthood had always been a central theme in Jenna's conversations on air, and while she cherished her family dynamic, there was an ever-present curiosity among fans: would she and Henry expand their brood? It was during a casual chat with Savannah Guthrie on Today with Jenna and Friends that the topic resurfaced. Savannah, filling in as guest host, shared an interesting dream she had the night before, one where Jenna and Henry had welcomed a 4th child. Jenna laughed, shaking her head. "I have nothing to announce," she said, her voice teasing. "I'm pretty sure I've come to terms with the fact that 3, although it's an imperfect number, is perfect for our house." Savannah grinned. "It's very normal. I think they call it being broody. You're kind of broody for a 3rd or a 4th. I would have had a 3rd in a heartbeat, but, I was up against the clock." With a dramatic drum roll, Jenna leaned in. And now for my big announcement. She paused for effect, then declared, "There is no announcement." The studio erupted in laughter, but for fans who had followed Jenna's journey, there was something bittersweet about the notion that her family might be complete. Jenna and Savannah shared a unique bond, not just as colleagues, but as dear friends. Their connection extended beyond the studio, into their personal lives, where they had become godmothers to each other's children. Their kids had formed friendships as well, deepening their families' ties. "Our kids are still buddies," Savannah had once told People. It was such a beautiful moment in time, those 5, 6, 7 years that we were neighbors. "Our kids grew up together." Jenna nodded, reflecting on those years with fondness. "They were more like cousins than anything," she agreed. "Hal, my youngest, is Savannah's godson, and our kids like to call each other their godbrothers and godsisters. And honestly, it feels like family." The sense of community that today fostered extended beyond the cameras. Jenna had built a career on sharing stories, and as she did so, she naturally wove her own experiences into the conversation. From parenting struggles to the joys of motherhood, she had never shied away from being vulnerable, which made her incredibly relatable. As the years passed, the question of a fourth child still occasionally surfaced, though Jenna remained steadfast in her stance. She and Henry were content, and their lives were beautifully full. While fans may have hoped for a baby announcement, Jenna was focused on the life she was living, the one she had built with love, laughter, and an ever-growing network of family and friends. And so, as another morning on Today began, Jenna took her seat beside Hoda Kotb, ready to bring warmth and joy to the viewers once more. No big announcements, no breaking news, just another day in the life of a woman who had already found everything she needed.